Hey Dawson, nice to see that you've sent us another set of essays. Great, let's take a look. This is your general task 1. Dear Sir, Madam, I'm writing to apologize for my absence from the final exam of information technology due to severe illness. My name is Dawson Lee, whose student number is this. I am a year 2 undergraduate, and I am writing this letter in reference to the case number this to explain the reason for the absence from the exam. Just get rid of occurred on this date. Let me explain my situation in detail. As I recalled on that day, I tried to wake up when the alarm was going off. I felt extremely dizzy and I could barely walk, so I called my roommate via my personal smartphone to ask for some assistance. In this case, my phone record and my roommate are some possible evidence. If you would like to justify these, please do not hesitate to contact me via email of phone. I therefore hope that you will consider my situation favorably, and I am kindly requesting a supplementary exam due to this unexpected circumstance. I look forward to hearing from you. Yours faithfully. Okay. Okay, it's not bad. As you could see, I got through it really rather quickly. It flowed, so the grammar for the most part was good. It read easily, okay, and that's a good thing. But there are some things we absolutely have to change and some things that I would like to see a little different. So let's take it from the beginning. This was fine, and then this was fine, except I felt like this was rather repetitive. Explain the reason for the absence from the exam, which occurred or occurring. Okay, I felt like this was a little too similar for my taste, okay? You could have said instead, I am writing this letter in reference to the case number this, as referred to in the letter sent by Albion University to me on blah, blah, blah date. That would have made more sense, okay? It would have been a little different because apparently you're responding to a letter from them, right? So that would have been good. This is where I wasn't super happy. I didn't really feel like you told as much, except that you got dizzy. So, I mean, I would have liked to know that, perhaps you went to the hospital, perhaps you had medical checks, medical tests done, and that's why you couldn't go to the exam. But just saying that you were dizzy was a little underdeveloped for me, okay? And then the other thing is I don't really care for this expression. Let me explain my situation in detail. It sounds like a command, and you have to remember that this is a formal letter, and as a formal letter, you have to use very polite language. So giving this command here, let me explain my situation, it just sounds a little too much like a command, a little too much like I'm demanding this. So instead you could say, I would like to explain my situation in detail, or please allow me to explain my situation in detail. All right, it sounds a lot different than let me. Let's see, I tried to wake up when the alarm went off, which I also don't like because using phrasal verbs in formal letters is not such a great idea because they're very informal. So let's try one more time. As I recall, on that day, I tried to wake up when the alarm rang. I felt extremely dizzy and I could barely walk, so I called my roommate via my personal smartphone to ask for some assistance. In this case, my phone record and my roommate could provide possible evidence. That sounds better. If you would, now this doesn't make sense if you'd like to justify these. If you would like, let's see, if you would like either the phone, I don't know. I mean, how can you say this? But that doesn't make sense if you'd like to justify these. Okay. I would be happy to provide this evidence if you would like. Okay, that's one way you could have said it. But I also felt like it was really underdeveloped. So great, you felt dizzy, and so you should have gone into a little more detail about this, okay? Let's see. Therefore, I hope you will consider my situation favorably, and I am kindly requesting a supplementary exam due to some unexpected occurrence. All right, now let's talk about what's wrong with that. Look at the last bullet here. It says possible resolutions to consider. You did all this, let's just say, okay? But let's look at this. It says resolutions, plural. You didn't give resolutions. You gave one resolution, just one. And that's not enough. So that's absolutely going to cost you in terms of task achievement. it feels like you only partially fulfilled the bullet, and that, like I said, is really going to reduce your score. All right, those are the things I want you to be aware of. The rest of it was fine. The yours faithfully was fine. Okay, so it's okay for your first letter attempt, but let's move on and take a look at your essay. All right, so here we go with the one about the Olympics. Let's see. Experts throughout both the developing and developed world have debated whether the Olympic Games should be continually held in the 21st century. Some believe that the Olympics has played a less important role among nations. However, you really need some sort of contrast here, because you're saying that you disagree, and just having the comma here is not enough. You've got two contrasting ideas. So however would have been nice here. This lesson will discuss both sides using examples from the UK government and Oxford University to demonstrate points and prove arguments. Now, here you really need to be careful. On the one hand, I absolutely agree that it's a great idea to talk about the other side. We often call this a concession paragraph, and I think it is good to look at all aspects of the issue, both the side that you agree with and the side that you may support less. The problem is this. Here you say that you strongly agree. You don't even say that, like, well, maybe there's some room for you to agree. And then you tell us that you're going to discuss both sides. So that doesn't entirely make sense. All right. What would have made a little more sense is if you had said, some believe that the Olympics has played a less important role among nations. And while there is some truth to this, on the whole, I disagree. Then it makes sense to say that you're going to talk about both sides, because you're showing that there's validity to both, okay? And that's why you're going to analyze them both. Let's move on and see how you actually develop this. There is ample evidence that this worldwide event is beneficial. The central reason behind this is twofold. Firstly, promoting peaceful international relations is one of the factors in ceasing conflicts between countries. Okay, before going into your secondly, it would really make sense if you supported this idea. Don't just say main idea, and then give your support. But every time you give a main idea, you should support it. Secondly, there is a dramatic increase in economic growth for those who are selected to be the host country. For example, recent empirical research by the UK government demonstrated that the revenue of the tourism industry in the host country, such as accommodation and restaurants, increased more than 90% during the event. Therefore, it is conclusively clear that international events like the Olympics can be advantageous in resolving conflict and boosting the local economy. You supported the local economy, but you did not support this idea of resolving conflict. You mentioned it and then you just left it. And that's not going to work. You absolutely have to back up any main idea that you come up with. Okay? So, like I said, it's really important that all of your main ideas have support attached to them. Let's move on. Although there is a case for foreigners and governments benefiting, what? The society? That doesn't really quite make sense. The impact of the Olympics cannot be neglected. This is largely because it can be used to compare the development of technology. For instance, athletes in developed countries such as US and UK are equipped with advanced equipment that can enhance their performance as compared to those in developing and undeveloped countries. This way, the fairness of the games is the fairness of the games no longer exists is fine. Or you could say the fairness of the game ceases to exist. That also would have been nice. Consequently, it's possible to state that the disparity in technology should be considered. Okay, I want you to be careful here, because what you're telling me is not a paragraph about why the games are no longer important. Remember, that's what you have been asked to describe. The games are no longer important, or the games are important. Here you explain to us why the games are important. They're a great source of revenue. But here, did you really explain to us why the games aren't important? Not really. It seems to me what you explained is maybe just a disadvantage of the games, that some countries have better technology than others, and so the ones that don't have it are at a disadvantage. But that doesn't make the games not important. Does that make sense? I hope it does. You have to be careful. A lot of people with this essay, they do this really quite frequently. They end up writing about the positives of the Olympics and the negatives of the Olympics. But honestly, that's not what they've asked. They've asked something far more specific. Are the games important, or are they not important? So you have to prove this idea and not anything else, okay? So a little more care and a little more caution with the actual task. Let's take a look at your conclusion. From the arguments and examples given, I firmly agree that the Olympics should be continuously organized. It is predicted that the Olympics will increasingly grow in importance. Okay, I don't know why it's increasingly predicted, but that's fine. Let's see. So what you have to do, Dawson, is you have to reverse your paragraphs, because here's where you talked about the positive of the Olympics, and this is actually the side that you support, and this is the side that you don't support. And so it's very important that this is organized properly, meaning first we talk about the side that we support less, and then we talk about the side that we support more. We keep that closer to our conclusion so that it has more weight, that it remains in the mind of the reader, and it just gives it extra power, okay? So you have to reverse these paragraphs. All right, so we've talked quite a bit about this set of essays. I want you to go ahead and correct them, return them to us corrected, and of course write a new set of essays. All right, so go ahead, get that started, and good luck.